At the debate last week, the preacher indicated that Jesus rose from the dead and the tomb was actually empty. Well, do you believe that? Quite a number of things could have happened. Maybe his disciples or his close friends could have stolen the body from the tomb. Well, let's join the witness today and hear what he has for us concerning the empty tomb.
Okay, welcome friend, and what was your question?
My question was, I am of a very strong opinion that Jesus never died. He just fell unconscious, and then he was taken to the tomb, and then the process, after some time, he revived and he got back and everything came back to normal. Is this not the case?
Well, first of all, I want to state that Muslims, for example, Muslims and other people, of course, have that opinion, and for some good reasons. They respect God. Their objection is that by saying that, for Christians to say that Jesus died is demeaning the power of God. I mean the power of God to save the Messiah from the cross. So they have the opinion that Jesus was snatched or taken away from the war fracas before he was actually crucified. But for us Christians, we see the power of God, the same power of the same God in a different way. That God in his power allowed Jesus to die. He sunk that low. Even death on the cross, he was buried. But on the third day, the power of God caused Jesus to come out of the grave. So that is the Christian stand. And so let me just give you a few points to illustrate that Jesus actually rose from the dead. He was not spared the cross. He died, was buried, and rose from the dead. There were reports from the leader of the team that crucified Jesus Christ, I mean the soldier, the Roman soldier, that Jesus actually died. Because when Joseph and Nicodemus went to request to bury the body of Jesus Christ, he didn't believe, because that was a bit too early. So it's like, oh, he can't be dead by now. So he requested the soldier to come. And we can read from Mark 15, 44 and 45, that the Roman soldier actually confirmed that Jesus was actually dead. So that is why Pilate gave permission to Joseph and Nicodemus to take the body of Jesus Christ and to bury Jesus. So he was actually confirmed dead, not by the disciples, but actually by the Roman soldiers, that he was dead. Again, these soldiers were not doing a thing they had never done before. Execution by the cross was the normal thing. They had done this many, many times. And to make sure that Jesus was dead, actually one of the soldiers took a spear and pierced it through the side of Jesus Christ. So this was again another confirmation that he was actually dead. So there was no room for mistakes here, because it meant life and death for this soldier, for this Roman soldier. If he made a single mistake to allow Jesus escape crucifixion, that could mean to him death also. So he had to make sure that Jesus actually died, and he was dead. By the time Joseph and Nicodemus were given the body. So the body was again wrapped by Joseph and Nicodemus, wrapped from head to the feet. And the rubbing by the burial cloth was, it meant that every limb was tied together. It's like rubbing from head down to the feet. So, and to do this, they also must have confirmed that Jesus was dead. Because then it was like there was no coming back. It was the final thing. And I want you to imagine this then. The claim is that he fell unconscious, just stayed there in the tomb and revived after some time. But imagine this. Since Thursday evening, Jesus was arrested. He was beaten. He was, things happened during the night. He was beaten, tossed here and there. On morning, come the morning, he had not eaten anything. He was thirsty, he was tired. He was taken up the cross. He was nailed, he was bleeding. And then he stayed hanged on that cross for 3 good hours till late Friday. He, like you claim, fell unconscious. Okay, we take your point. He fell unconscious.
Yeah.
He was buried that Friday. He stayed in that tomb the whole of Saturday, on a very hot tomb in Palestine, throughout the night until Sunday morning. Then, like you claim, he was revived, and with the burial cloth on, he was able to move somehow, moved the stone, which the women were wondering, who will roll the stone for us, because it was heavy. He managed to roll the stone and walked out of the grave alive through the soldiers who are guarding. Now, how possible is that really? I think to me it's a bigger miracle than just saying and believing that Jesus rose from the dead.
Now, there are these women who claim to be the first ones to get to where Jesus was buried.
The tomb, I mean, yeah.
The tomb.
Yeah.
Is that not a possibility that maybe they went to a wrong tomb where
it was empty?
It was empty. They say that they found the tomb empty.
Okay.
But I also think that maybe they had gone to the wrong tomb where Jesus was not even put there in the first place. So they found it empty, but he wasn't there anyway.
Well, this is a possibility. The 2 women were, for example, strangers in the area. They were tourists, but they were not. These were women who knew the place very well. They were born there. They knew the area. Second, they were there when Joseph and Nicodemus were burying the body. In addition to that, immediately they reported this to the disciples. John and Peter ran into the same tomb, and they also found it empty. And if this were to happen then, wouldn't the authorities prove that the ladies went into the wrong tomb by showing that this is the actual tomb Jesus was buried in, and this is the body still here in the tomb? That would have been easy. But there's nothing recorded in reference to that. Meaning, it is the same tomb Jesus was buried that the women and all the disciples also found empty. Reason? Because Jesus had risen from the dead.
I also believe that this man Jesus we are talking about here also had his close friends, his close associates,
Yes.
his maybe his relatives, brothers and sisters. And if you still say that he had died and he was buried, and you still say he arose from the dead, I am thinking that maybe some of these close associates of his maybe came and
Stole the body?
And stole the body.
Okay.
And so nothing could be found in the tomb anyway.
Okay. Well, one thing is that the tomb was guarded, and it has Pilate's seal on it. So breaking the seal would have been an offense. And if this would have happened, then the soldiers would have reported this to the Pilate and to the authorities that the disciples came and took the body away. For example, like it is written, while we were asleep. But how do you sleep if you are guarding? If you are a watch guard, how do you sleep? And we don't even see anything happening to the disciples. They were not persecuted. Why? Because what they reported was true, that Jesus rose from the dead. So nobody took the body, because then they would have been prosecuted by the authorities. But this happened because, or the truth, the fact that the tomb was empty, was simply because Jesus rose from the dead. What else can you say? Or what else is there to be said?
You see, there's I'm still thinking that it was not like the way you are saying. Because I feel like these disciples of Jesus, maybe they had what we call they thought maybe they had seen him, but they didn't even they didn't see the actual Jesus. I think maybe they had hallucinations or something like this, because I'm still not convinced that what you're saying here could be true. It could be
No,
something.
if I understand you right, and if I know what hallucinations are.
Yeah.
Hallucinations are like visions, because maybe you desire to see something or somebody so much that you start seeing them. But this is possible only for one person, for two instances. But you see, we are talking of not one person seeing the risen Jesus Christ, but we are talking of almost all his disciples. We are not talking of just a single day, but several days. For more than 40 days, Jesus was alive. He showed himself to the disciples and to other people. Actually, the Bible says to over 500 people. They saw him. Not once, not twice, but many times. To the ladies, to Mary, to the disciples without Thomas, you remember?
Yes, I do.
To the disciples with now Thomas present, when Jesus was saying, now you can see my hands, you can feel them, you can even feel my side, where the spear went through. And then also to the two guys walking to Emmaus, that was a different time. To the disciples when they had gone back fishing, and even at the time when Jesus was talking to them, bidding them farewell, because now he was rising from them, going to heaven. So it was, hallucination is not possible because it was not just one person, but several people reporting the same thing. We have seen Jesus. We have met Jesus. We have even eaten with him. We have seen him. Not once, but many times, the disciples and other people as well. So the possibility of hallucination is, there's no possibility here, because evidence shows that Jesus was actually seen. And why? Because he actually rose from the dead. Do you have another reason to doubt is resurrection?
I think from what I was thinking and what my thoughts were, and from what we have just been discussing, I think it has shedded some light. Now I can feel.
Of course, what I have just said is very brief.
Yeah.
You can read for yourself from the Gospels. You can read the whole story, and if you still doubt, we can sit and discuss.
About it.
But I am fully convinced that the tomb of Jesus Christ was empty and is empty today, because Jesus rose from the dead and he lives forevermore. So the power of God is not seen by snatching Jesus or saving Jesus
Yeah.
from the cross. But we see a lot more power, if I can use that.
Yeah.
You see the power of God in letting Jesus to sink so low and yet raising him up from the lowest there could be, so that he lives today and he is seated at the right hand of God, waiting for us and waiting to judge the whole world. But thank you for coming. And
you.
please do come again. Feel free, wherever you have some questions,
Yeah.
come, let's discuss.
Thank
And
you.
let's study the Bible together.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.